Hi, Reka. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting these essays for you. I understand your exam is coming up, so we have a lot of work to do in the next few days. Let's get started on your first set of essays. We've got the schools and whether they should be more entertaining or not. Now, I can see here that you haven't really created an essay. What you've done is you've just kind of plugged in all of your ideas and all of your kind of sentences into the format, into the template, and that's okay. But for your next set of essays, I really want you to focus on getting rid of these kind of signposts here and really creating clearly delineated and clearly separated paragraphs, okay? Because you're going to see that when I read it, it doesn't read like a full like a full paragraph. So here, this is your introduction, I assume, and then this is your first body paragraph. Now, in an actual IELTS essay, examiners are looking quite closely at how clear your paragraphs are. If they aren't clear, that's going to really lower your score in terms of coherence and cohesion. So it's very important that you get into this habit of creating solid, cohesive, clear paragraphs so that the examiner can know where one paragraph begins, where one paragraph ends, because that's going to affect that score. Okay? And you'll see a couple of things that I saw here as well. So let's see if I understand here. This here, you mean to be your introduction. Actually, no, looking at it again, you mean this to be your introduction. However, it's really too brief. I'm always very much in favor of a very short, concise introduction, but this is too brief. So this is what you wrote. The major purpose of schools to educate student, however, task-focused dry curriculum can impact children overall achievement. The grammar here is really it doesn't read like a sentence. It reads like a telegram that you would get. You're missing some key words here, some key structural words. So we really need to fix this. Also, it's not a good idea to have an introduction that is just one sentence. You want to have at least two. I think the ideal is three. So what you want to do is you want to rephrase the topic. Then you want to introduce what the dilemma, what the controversy, what the debate is. And then in the third sentence, you want to express your viewpoint. So maybe something like this. The major purpose of schools is to educate. However, there are many who believe that a curriculum focused on dry tasks only can impact children's apostrophe S overall achievement. I agree with this viewpoint and will support my position in the paragraphs below. Something like that would have been okay. Let's move on. Now, here's your main idea. So you don't want a yes, obviously. So that would definitely not work in a body paragraph. So let's change it a little bit. Let's in fact use some words that would be appropriate to introduce in a body paragraph. So it is true that schools must be more entertaining. And it is quite essential in the school premises for the holistic development of the student. Firstly, physical participation in non-educational activities such as sport, drama, and art enhance the cognitive skills of the children. This is because the traditional methods can cause problems with attention due to boredom and lack of interaction with their peers, which improve to comprehend their weakness and strength. Okay, this is awkward. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here, Reka. Grammatically, it's incorrect, and it doesn't really carry any meaning. I can't. I'm having trouble understanding. So, for example, with a capital F, according to the World Health Organization, you can't say both according to and that they found. You have to decide which one of these you want. So, According to the World Health Organization, children who engaged in sport or other activities excelled in academics and social life as compared to those who are physically inactive in recreational habits, okay? Therefore, school ought to be more entertaining to develop intellectual skills among pupils. Okay. All right, fine. Let's move on. All right, here's your next paragraph. Secondly, teachers are hired to educate, not entertain, especially STEM educators. Okay, now this is not a secondly. You're actually switching sides here. So we'll talk about this. I actually want to read this through first. So it can be challenging during math or English class due to both subjects are content heavy and often has lack of time to explain in depth during class. Studies show that when a teacher tried to entertain the class, often descended into anarchy due to misleading rules about class etiquette, is what I think you want to say here, such as during task response activities. Okay, now, this really needs quite a bit of work. First of all, it doesn't need a secondly. What you're doing here is you're changing sides. You're talking about the exact opposite thing you talked about in this paragraph. So firstly and secondly are not appropriate here. What you want to do is you want linkers that show I'm talking about one side of the argument here, a different side of the argument here. So something like on the one hand, on the other hand. Okay? So let's pretend that you did that. On the other hand, teachers are hired to educate, not entertain, especially STEM educators. It can be challenging during math or English class due to the fact that both subjects are content heavy and there is often a lack of time to explain in depth during class. Studies show that when a teacher tried to entertain the class, it often descended, into anarchy due to misleading rules about class etiquette. Etiquette, I want you to look it up, etiquette, due to misleading rules about class etiquette, such as, I don't understand this, during task response activities. That's confusing. Therefore, most math teachers explain algebra without cracking a joke, as it might impact students' ability to memorize the steps. Okay. To conclude, I believe implementing a flexible timetable and blending fewer entertaining classes such as English and math with physical sport, art, and science will increase student overall performance and increase their attention span. All right, so this needs quite a bit of work. I'm really happy to see that you're trying to implement and apply the template. Next time I want to see you actually creating real paragraphs, not this. Okay? And maybe on some of this grammar we have to look at as well. Okay, you did the same thing in this topic in the enjoyable activity with the child. Let's see what you did here. It is often thought that doing activities that are fun for children improves their skills and creative abilities. Full stop. In my opinion, all right, where's this thing about reading? You have to include reading in here. Let's try that. It is often thought that doing activities that are fun for children improves their skills and creative abilities more than reading can. That's how you have to do this. In my opinion, I consider that children's '(s) ability to be creative and advance in skills can be achieved successfully when they enjoy the activity. Okay, fine. So now here you do need a topic sentence. If this paragraph is about your agreement, you need to have a topic sentence that says, there are a variety of reasons why children should do an activity they enjoy and not be forced to read. Something like that would be okay. Firstly, enjoyable activities make learning interesting and exciting, which improves children's '(s) attention span, and willingness to cooperate for a longer period in tasks. That's what you mean here. The reason for this is no, let's try it a little differently. This is because, there we go. This is because children's apostrophe S brain is going through rapid development fueled by curiosity. For example, according to the Monash University recent neurodevelopmental study, when kids have fun, okay, get rid of this, and not kids, but children, because kids is informal. So when children have fun learning, they tend to grasp and improve on their skills more quickly. It also makes it easier to remember due to more brain regions, regions S, stimulated at once, e.g. visual, auditory, and frontal cortex. For example, singing a timetable presented on the screen without the which will significantly increase, no S, a chance of recalling the material rather than just reading it aloud. Therefore, enjoying activities while learning kickstarts the improvement of skills and abilities in children as they grow. Okay. Let's say something here. Okay, so secondly, children who show a higher level of creativity tend to read more. Okay, so now it sounds like you're going to talk about reading and how that's really wonderful. Again, you can't use firstly and secondly like this. You can do that only when you're talking about the same side of the argument. But when you're switching sides, you need to use linking words that show contrast. So on the one hand, on the other hand, or nothing in the first paragraph, and then the second paragraph, something like in contrast. Okay, so let's try that. In contrast, children who show a high level of creativity tend to read more. This is because parents who read to their children at a really young age infuse them their curiosity and love for reading. I believe the most important method is to teach children how to enjoy different learning curves, including reading. I don't understand that sentence. Recent studies have shown that children who were read, R-E-A-D, nighttime stories at least 4 times a week reported significantly higher levels of comprehension and interest about reading compared to children with no or less weekly bedtime stories, IES here. Therefore, if children have a positive experience about reading from an early age, they will naturally find reading entertainment and fun. To conclude, reading is entertaining and fun itself if it is, we don't use contractions, introduced at an early age and presented as entertainment. Okay, so a lot of this was very good, actually, but you really didn't talk about creativity. When you talked about skills, let me see. You said skills in general. You talked about visual, auditory, and frontal cortex. It's not really a skill. If you had talked clearly about skills, that would have been okay. Like anything, math skills, reading skills, hand-eye coordination, gross motor skills, fine motor skills, anything, teamwork, leadership, anything. All of those are skills that children can acquire. So if you had talked about any of them, it would have been more on topic in this paragraph. Then, here you talk about creativity, but then the rest of it is really rather confusing, and you didn't really talk about creativity elsewhere. You said comprehension and interest, but this paragraph really wasn't about creativity, and you needed to focus on creativity here. Okay? So in the end, it sounds like you're in favor of reading. That's what your conclusion is about. Reading is entertaining if it's introduced at a fun age. But here, you just talked about enjoying the activity. So it's difficult to draw a conclusion here. And when an examiner can't draw a conclusion, it's going to affect your score. These two sentences have to mirror each other. So this sentence has to mirror this. All right, they should essentially say the same thing, but in different words, and they didn't. You were talking about two absolutely different things there. In the one thing, you were talking about enjoying the activity, and the other one, you were talking about how wonderful reading is. So it's really rather confusing, and that's going to lower your task achievement score. So, Reka, there's a lot of work I want you to do here. The first thing is I want you to correct these essays based on my suggestions, return them to us. Along with that set of corrected essays, I want you to create an error correction list. So the mistakes and the corrected version next to each other so you can learn from it. And then, of course, I want to see a new set of essays. In this next set of essays, I want you to actually create paragraphs. None of this, stuff from the template. I don't want to see it. I want you to create nicely constructed paragraphs. Okay, go ahead and get that started. We'll meet back here in the next couple of days with your essays, or maybe even tomorrow because I know your exam is coming up. So go ahead and send us a set tomorrow. I am doing a lot of traveling right now. I will do my absolute best to get them to you tomorrow. So if you send them, so go ahead and get them started. Okay, good luck.